All right, there we go. So this is Joshua Dunn,
And I'm Matt Richards.
and I've brought Matt Richards with me here today to talk about Think, Breathe, Act. So when we talk about Think, Breathe, Act, Matt, and we talk, and you experienced putting a lesson that I just gave you, what was a key talking point for you? What was a game changer for you that changed your putting from inconsistent to more consistent?
It was the thought. Going through the putting, we start to, you can dive into the information, but it makes sense to you. It doesn't necessarily make sense to me, but you gave me a thought that immediately improved my putting. You gave me something that I could then act on. So think, breathe, act. You gave me the thought, said speed it up a little bit. I was able to change my breathing accordingly, and then that made my putts that much more consistent.
But if I remember, Matt, I gave you a few tries to try to figure it out on your own.
Yeah.
And until I changed your breathing, until I had you really key into your breathing, couldn't quite get it.
Right.
It was still outside of you.
Yeah.
So what brought it into you, and why do you think that it was still outside of you before that?
It was outside information, and I've hit a few 100,000 putts in my life, and you get used to doing it one way. What helped me was your insight. It was the thought. It started with the thought of, for the longer putts, speed it up a little bit, and I had the wherewithal within myself to be able to do that. It's like you said, the instinct of it. I knew to speed my breathing up a little bit, and I knew I had what it takes.
So talk about that. That's a great point, Matt. So how did your breathing change, and how did you have to control your breathing and still stay rhythmically keyed into? Because that's a real good one, because before you weren't aware of your breathing. You knew your breathing was there.
Right.
You weren't thinking about your breathing. You were just thinking about making the putt, and your breathing was outside yourself, and it would change based on your comfort level.
Sure.
So once I keyed you into your breathing, what changed in your mind? And then what changed in your swing?
It was the self-awareness. So where I was before was the external point of view of making the putt. Whereas when I shift my focus to my breathing, I'm aware of my breathing, where my shoulders are, where I am, and then that allowed me the freedom to deliver the putt consistently, whether that be a short putt, because there was a big discrepancy between short putts, medium putts, and long putts. But they all kind of came together to a more consistent stroke when I was more self-aware like that.
That's great, man.
Yeah.
So the key that I want this audience to take away is putting is just a metaphor. I use putting because we understand how putting works. But this inconsistency in how we get different results is in everything. So if we don't have a way of adjusting our breathing to certain challenges, then our ability to succeed is not there.
Yeah.
So give us an example, Matt, of how this putting technique that now you've learned how to be more consistent with your putting. Where could you change? Where could you change your? How could it change your life directly? Great. Matt's a better putter. You know,
Right.
maybe he's gonna go on to win the next web.com event that he goes, and maybe he's maybe we could really heighten his game. But let's just take a date. Let's make it much more simpler.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely.
What could Matt Richards do tomorrow that would definitively make Matt Richards a better person based on what he learned today?
Sure. I mean, the first thing that comes to mind is relationships. Like I can go around and maybe I'll go home later and I'll talk to my mom about something with the attempt of something to happen there. But when I have like the awareness of myself, it allows me to act in a way that will draw the things that I want closer to me, because I'm being a better person, so people gravitate towards that. That's not something I have to like force an outcome. I'm not fighting like what is so, and I'm not like working against it. It's I have the control myself, and that's all you need to allow things to happen. But relationships, definitely, that's the number one thing that strikes me.
So that's great. So being able to interact with people, and how we deal with challenging people in our lives. My mother, I can definitely say, is a very challenging person. Your mother may be equally as challenging.
I love you, Mom. Yeah.
Whether we love our moms or dislike our moms, they're still challenging people in our lives. And being able to control our breathing into that challenge, and being able to make sure that we understand our natural pace. So I know, that if I'm talking to my mother with a very challenging issue right now, and without getting into a lot of detail, I know that my mother is trying to be a good mother, but she's acting way out of her domain.
Sure.
And trying to protect me in a way that's just no good.
And that's similar to like the tempo in golf, right? That you're out of your tempo in
right.
Life.
So she's pushed me out of my rhythm, and she's pushed herself out of her rhythm to try to protect our greater good.
Okay.
So
interesting. Yeah.
Right. So that happens all the freaking time.
Everywhere you look.
That's life.
Yeah.
So give us the real answer, Matt. That we'll wrap up with like the real nugget. What do we? If that's life, and that's putting, what do we need to do to be better? What's the similarity between those two things that we can do in both of those situations to be better people?
It's focusing on your breathing. That for me tied together. It brings the self-awareness right here, and you're responding to things rather than reacting to them.
But if all of a sudden I say something to you, I could insult. Your mother knows how to hit you.
Sure.
Right here.
Yeah, she's got that down.
So she hits me right here. My breathing is out the window.
Right.
I've lost my breathing.
Okay, yeah.
I can't breathe anymore at all. I'm just reacting.
Okay, yeah.
I don't have any thought. Mm-hmm. I just start reacting because she's hitting me right here.
Yeah.
And it hurts.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
So we have to have something right here that brings us back, so that we don't just feel that hurt and tag.
Okay. Yeah, I would say. I mean, for me, it does come down to the breathing. Like if you get hit by something.
But what do we need to do? How do we know how do we how do we know if we got hit it? There's a key. There's something else that we do. I know what it is.
Okay.
But I want Matt to know what it is.
Sure.
What if I hit you right there, and I've hit your weakness? All of a sudden, your breathing is out the window.
Yeah.
You can't breathe in it.
Right.
What do you do?
I mean, the first thought is to go to breathe.
But you've lost it.
Okay.
I've said something to you that is totally You know, you've hit a shot into the woods. You thought you were doing everything right,
Okay.
and all of a sudden the ball still went into the woods.
Yeah.
How
I don't
do
know
you-
if I follow.
You pause.
Okay.
You pause. You recollect your surroundings.
Okay. Gotcha. Yeah.
You can recollect your surroundings, and you can absorb you can let what's hit you really just hit you.
Okay.
And take it in. Let it penetrate.
Let it happen.
Let it happen.
And then
give it
leave it.
space.
Yeah.
Because if I hit you right there, then you've lost your breathing. Then you can't. You don't know what to do.
Right.
And your first thing to do is then fight back.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. Don't react to it. Take a
Right.
moment. Take it in.
So the easiest thing to counteract that is absorb and not look to deflect.
Sure. Okay. Yeah.
Is just absorb. Just take it in. Just feel what that feels like.
Right.
Instead of trying to counteract
And
you know,
fight it.
and fight
Got
it.
it. That makes sense. Okay. Yeah.
You have to absorb the bad. You have to absorb the negativity.
Work with it, yeah.
And you can absorb it without being a rubber band.
Yeah.
And you can absorb it without being a punching bag.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
So if you absorb it without those two, you can absorb it by just clearing it.
Yeah.
And you
Deal with
absorb and you absorb it by just clearing it, and but that is a special thing for you, Matt. What you may need to snap your fingers.
Okay.
You there's a trick. You know, some people have a rubber band and
Right.
they you know, but there's a trigger. You
Yeah,
know,
a
they
little
pull,
reset button.
There's
Yeah.
so I can't tell you what your reset button is.
Right.
But you have to have one.
Okay. Yeah. No, it makes sense.
So what is it?
For me personally, it you know, and like I do go back to it because that is my reset. Is that one like really deep breath in and deep breath out to just like allow things to be, not breathe like just normal breathing, but a real deep breath
So a
in.
deep breath.
A deep breath,
A deep
noticeably
breath.
different than my normal tempo.
Yeah.
So like really absorb it and then really let it go. That's my trigger.
So what I want you all to take away is this is not works for everybody,
Right.
But this could work for somebody. This is a good experiment. Is if somebody hits you where you don't want to be hit, and somebody hurts you, or it's just something happens in life that you're not expecting. Maybe just try taking a deep breath. And that sounds so simple. We've heard this advice so long. But I hope that you've really heard a better conversation in this conversation that draws you more in, because now you understand why you need to take a deep breath.
Yeah.
And then and Matt, what would you say? To wrap it up, I'm going to give you the floor on the why do we need to take the deep breath?
You know, I would say like if you don't fully absorb that moment, right? You get hit with something. If you don't fully absorb it and then deal with it, allow it to really be there and process it, then you're going to be holding on to that and you're going to be fighting that. And that is something that you carry around with you. It's like a weight on your back, because there's a lot of significant events that happen either when we're younger or when we grow up, and unless you have the tools to deal with it and be aware that it's there, then you're going to be carrying that around until you let it go. And there's a different way that we all let it go. I mean, for me, the anchor is that deep, deep, deep breath. Like just really breathe in and really breathe out. And that tells myself, like it happened, it's okay, and now we can move on. Because otherwise I'm carrying it around like a backpack, and we all know those people in our lives that have that, like, oh, this happened to me when I was younger, and I'm a victim of that, and that's how I'm going to live my life.
Right, so that goes, so that's awesome. That's awesome. I'm going to give you a big high five on that.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
That was an awful high five.
Yeah. We'll work on that, right? Right.
Let's try it again.
Right.
There we go. Good. So because you and there's a science to that.
Sure.
Because and the science to that is that our natural rhythm of gravity, how we connect to the earth, how we stay on the ground. We always say that someone feels more grounded. Sure. Someone is more grounded. They're better. They're more flexible. They're more constructed. They're really grounded.
Yeah.
But that's gravity. That's them being in tune with gravity, and gravity you can measure.
Yeah.
So that breathing is a natural tone to your life.
It's so profound, but it's like granted all. There's certain times where you just I'll speak about golf because I play a lot of golf where you're just in tune with what is gravity, with the laws of physics out there, just what's happening, and you're so much more at peace. You're not fighting any of it. You're working with the bad breaks and the good breaks, which is it's not just golf. I mean that happens day to day. You're gonna get that promotion, or you're gonna have a kid that gets sick. Those are the good breaks and the bad breaks, but to not fight it, to work with it, and that's profound. It's very profound.
Great. All right. Thank you.
Thanks.